welcome back. We're now on day 3 of the cylinder head. I went down to the boat yesterday, so I didn't get a chance to take it out of the tank where we're doing the electrolysis. So it's actually been going now for over 36 hours. So let's take a quick look and see where it is now. And what we'll do is we'll get it out of the tank, take it across to the jet wash and clean all that gunk off it, and let's see how it comes out. Okay, so here's the tank the second time around. Now, unlike the first time where we saw lots of rust and things on the surface, we don't seem to have quite so much this time. There's still some bubbling, still some soap showing there. The anodes don't look to be particularly decayed, apart from this one here, which is the one that we've got our positive connected to. So I don't know whether or not the copper wire we've got connecting the other anodes is actually sufficient for the job we're trying to do. Maybe it's not quite heavy duty enough. But what I'm going to do now is take down the power, and we'll take the cylinder head out. I'll take it across to the concrete and show you what it looks like before we jet wash. Okay, so one thing I noticed when I took it out just now is there is a lot more of the grey black that we saw before. See how clean that looks on the top side there? Inside the ports, you can also see some of that flaky rust where it's actually moved it away from the cylinder head. This one in particular, look at that. So what I'm going to do, yeah, these are really big, chunky flakes. Nice. It's taken all that surface rust off and converted it into this just like mush. So I'm going to get the jet wash on this now, and we're going to see how this cleans up. Hopefully it'll come up nice and clean. Might get some of that old paint off as well. You can see on that side. So it's actually not looking too bad. Let's get it jet washed and see how she looks. Okay, so here she is. I haven't dried it yet. I'm gonna do that next. You can see it's actually looking pretty darn good. I didn't do anything too harsh with the jet wash. I had it turned right down. I didn't want to blast anything too nastily. There's still some crud to get rid of, but you can see it's really started to clean up. That's in really good condition now. Way better than the one I think that we did in the chemical dip, bizarrely. So what I'm gonna do now is just give this a really good dry off, and then we'll try and get some of that flaky paint off. We'll make sure the rest of the valves are taken out, and we'll get her ready for rebuild. Okay, so here we are. Head is ready for drying off now. What I've done, I've just brought it into the shop, set the camera up to show you what's going on. Obviously got my brew. And what I'm gonna do is actually use the heat gun today rather than the hairdryer. There's a lot of moisture in here. I really want to blast down into these ports and make sure that we get everything away. It's raining pretty heavily on the metal roof now, so you can probably hear that in the background. So let's just give this a really quick dry, and then we'll give it a coat of oil before it flash rusts. Okay, the heat gun actually is working really well. It's nice and hot, but there's just not enough air power, so I'm actually going to revert back to using a hairdryer. So the hairdryer is pretty effective at using the force of the hot air to actually force the water out and kind of push it away. So it's drying the parts, but it's also forcing the water down into the bottom section where I can mop it up with the cloth. Lots to do though. We are going to have to do a bit of manual cleaning on here. The electrolysis hasn't taken that much off. The rest of it though, I'm pretty happy with. This one needs a little bit of surface rust taken off, but when you look at some of these others, they're looking really, really good. Now, I don't know if you can see, but the actual color is starting to change on here. We're starting to flash rust already, so not unsurprising, but what I'm going to do is give this a really good spray of like a penetrating oil, just to make sure we don't get any surface rust on there just while we finish cleaning this up. So I'll move the hairdryer, move my cloth, obviously move the brew, and we'll give that a quick squirt of oil before we do some mechanical cleaning. A little bit over the top, but we don't want any rust in there, do we? Okay, so the next step in our cleaning process is to look at the pots that have actually got some rust still in there. And what I'm going to do is just use the wire brush on the drill like we did with the first cylinder head, and just run it down inside. And any of those small bits, we'll just get those broken up so we can blow them through with some air. Okay, that's actually coming off really nicely, so it's very loose. Really does make quite a difference very quickly. I think you can see here, yeah, see how that's just, that bobbly rust there is just wiping off now. So yeah, I think it's just those little bobbly bits. We'll just clean those off with the wire brush and this thing's going to be good. Marvellous. Okay, so rather than boring you with cleaning the rest of the head off, what I'm going to do is just go over, try and use the heat gun, get some of this flaky paint off. I'll bring you back in when we've got it all cleaned up. So we've not had many wins on this boat so far, but I'm actually really impressed with how this is cleaned up. Taking the valves out, giving this a really good clean. There was some flaky rust in there, nothing too drastic. Also cleaned, you can just see inside the ports there, see how clean those are now as well. So I'm really confident this is actually going to be, out of the two cylinder heads, I think this one's actually the better of the two, even though this was the worst when we took it off. So the plan is now to get this all cleaned up. Let's give it a coat of paint and get her ready for rebuild. There we go, she's coming along nicely. So just giving it a good coat of primer and then top coat. And then we will start to refit all of the valves. Okay, so there we go. This is the completed cylinder head. All of the valves have now been replaced and she's got a good coat of paint and it's looking a million times better than it did before. As you can see, all of the ports have been cleaned out. They're looking pretty good inside as well. We don't have any flaky or loose rust left. Very pleased with the way that this has come out. So the next step before we put this back onto the boat is to obviously clean off these surfaces here so that we've got a nice smooth surface to put our gasket onto. And then we will get her ready for rebuild.